Good morning, everybody. I am Drayden Draconidae, and today I will be showing you this bronzy look. I bronzed up my skin to the max. I am quite fair, and I did this warm eyeshadow look with a nice orangey lip. So if you want to know how to look bronzed without looking orange, please keep on watching, and we will skip to me being barefaced. So, now that I am completely barefaced, you might find some trouble distinguishing me from my background, but we are going to take care of that and create a nice and bronzy look. We are going to start off with some primer. I'm using the Hydrating Foundation Primer by Bodyography, and I'm applying this with a flat foundation brush. So now that the primer is finished, we'll be moving on to foundation. Today I will be mixing what's left over of my primer with the Studio Fix Fluid by MAC in the shade NW13. The reason I mix it with a hydrating foundation is so it glides upon my skin just a bit more and it doesn't leave any patches of dryness around my nose, which I sometimes get. If you do go for a bronzy look, don't try to match your foundation to the level of tan you are trying to acquire. It is much better to use a bronzer because those bronzers are made to give you a tan look and have the right undertone to do so. As you see, I'm applying just a light layer of this. I'm not slathering this on. The thing we will be layering on is the bronzer. So now that foundation is complete, we will be moving on to concealer. I will be using the concealer by Bodyography in the shade 420, and I will just be placing this underneath the eye to cover up my dark circles. This does have a yellow tone in it, so it can reduce the amount of blue that is underneath my eyes. You don't need a lot. We aren't going to highlight anything today. We are going to give our face some shape with luminous highlighters and some bronzers. So you see I've got a little friend over here. I'm just going to give that a light tap. Get rid of that and also do that on the other side so my face is completely symmetrical. To set the face, I will be using an HD powder and I will just be powdering lightly underneath my eyes. To set the concealer around the nose and on my eyelids, where I also placed a light layer of concealer just so we have a smooth base to work on. I'm not a fan of eye primers. And also the forehead, where foundation tends to gather in some small lines. Now, that is powder done, and you might have noticed I didn't powder my cheeks or the entirety of my forehead, and that is because it's not really necessary, especially with the MAC Studio Fix Fluid, which is a foundation that is quite on the dry side and does dry down to a powder finish. We can move straight on to cream blush. I am using a tad bit of a darker shade today because we will be bronzing our face, and a bright pink blush might not blend in with the bronzer as we would like to. I'm going to start at my cheeks. I'm slowly going to work my way a little bit backwards, but I do like the concentration of the product to be on top of the apples of my cheeks. To give a little bit of a sunburnt illusion, I'm going to touch the bridge of my nose. In the winter, I like to do the tip of the nose because there's a lot of veins here and it tends to get red right here in winter, which makes it much more logical to put your red tones here in the winter, but in the summer, the sun tends to burn the bridge of our nose. So that's where we are going to place some light redness to keep it realistic. So now that blusher is done, we are going to move on to liquid highlighter. I will be using the Liquid Frost by Jeffree Star Cosmetics in the shade Frozen Peach. And you just look, here is where the light reflects on my skin, so that's where I'm going to place the highlighter. I do like my cheeks to be quite glowy, especially in summer. Then I'm going to, just like the blush, slowly work my way up. And I'm also lightly going to tap the sides of the forehead. Now, I am saying lightly because we will be layering product. We don't want a heap of sheen on the face. So now that we've got highlighter done, we've done blusher. You might say we need to powder again, but all these cream products do have a dry down, so I'm going to go straight in with the powdered bronzer. Today I will be using one of the limited edition Ocean Feel bronzers by Kiko because they have quite a yellow tone to them. If you are quite fair like me, don't go for an orangey to brown bronzer. You want to look for something that is almost a deep yellow caramel, so you can layer it on without looking actually orange. And to start off, I'm just gonna tap this product in. And I'm using a big fluffy brush to it. This bronzer does have a sheen to it, but it isn't an actual glitter or high shine, which makes it look all the more natural. And then I'm gonna blend in circles, and I'm not really afraid that it will touch like my cheek or my eye sockets, because it's supposed to be a haze. It isn't supposed to be a cut line. We are giving warmth to the face, not trying to make a sculpted contour. Now, if you do bronzer, you want to mind, where do I put it? Everywhere where you would get burnt if you put your face in the sun, which is the top of your cheekbones, not underneath your cheekbones. And especially for men whose hairline is receding, this is facing up towards the sun. So this is the first part of your face that gets burnt. So you want quite a lot of bronzer here, not to round out your forehead, just because it makes sense, because that's where the sun hits. You will know this if you are a bald man or a man that might be losing his hair. This is the first place where you feel the sun and where you get burnt. Where else do we feel the sun? Also on the tip of a nose. And then to blend everything in, I will be taking it to the side of the neck. And I really go like to my back, pulling my shirt back. And then lightly sweeping forward to make sure we don't have any harsh lines. Now that we look completely bronzed, not overly orange, just a deep, nice caramel yellow, I am going to move on to brows. You see, there is a clear difference with my arm. I am wearing long sleeves. You could use body bronzer if you want to. Match your face to the rest of your body. I won't, since I won't be wearing anything that has short sleeves. To do so, I will be using a brow gel by Rimmel. I do tend to like my brows quite dark. I'm just going to brush them up and put a little bit of color in it. And then in the front, I go against the grain. Brush up, up, up. I do like a pointy brow about here, almost like a triangle shape with a bone straight lower line and nice and pointy right hair. Brows are done. We are going to do a light eye look. I already powdered when I did my foundation and concealer. I'm not a fan of eye primer, so I'm just going to go in with the eyeshadow. And I will be using this NYX Ultimate Eyeshadow Palette and do something orangey red to match the look and keep it all in the warm tones. I'm going to start off with the bright orange on the upper row. And I'm just going to lightly sweep that back and forth on the outer corner. We're just gonna repeat that until we get a nice and blended hazy look. So now that both eyes are done, we are gonna move on to the red shade. I'm just gonna buff that further into the outer corner. I'm almost gonna cover the entire lid, but I don't want to pack on the color. So I'm just using a light sweeping motion with a blending brush. And then tiny, tiny circles to blend that color further into the crease and create this nice red orangey smoky eye effect. There we go. And to finish off this eye look, I will be taking a deep yellow, and I will just be brushing that in the front of the brow to give a little bit of depth. If you put a little bit of depth right here, you're protruding your brow bone and give that kind of more masculine look, which I tend to like, you know, the sultry look when they stare into your eyes, which is something I really like. I'm also lightly gonna sweep that yellow underneath my lash line, very lightly, to give it a slight contour, if you will. To finish up this eye look, I will be putting on some mascara, and I will be right back for the finishing touch. There, now we've got some mascara on our face, so I'm gonna be using a little bit of highlight, not too much since we've already used some and our skin is quite glowy as is. I'm gonna use some MAC Soft and Gentle, mainly on the cheeks. There we go. And just the sides of the forehead. It is quite a bronzy tone, and it almost mimics that like sweaty look when you are warm and hot in the summer. Now that the face is almost completely done, all that's left is lips. I'm gonna layer on a combo of a Chenyu lip gloss, and to stick with the warm theme, I'm gonna take an orange liquid suede by NYX and just tap that in right in the middle. So now all that there is left to do is just take a damp sponge and tap that into the skin to reduce any texture that any powder might have left behind. And we are pretty much done. There we go. My name is Drayden Draconidae. If you like this video, give it a thumbs up. Let me know what you want to see next time, and I will be happy to see you in my next video.